Perfect. So hello everyone and welcome to our second Virtual Data Plus Women Zurich event. We apologize for any technical inconveniences right prior to the event, and we hope that you were still able to join. My apologies for that. That's only our second event. And my name is Olivia. I'm a data scientist at Credit Suisse, and together with Annabelle, who is a visual analytics lead at Vontobel, an amazing one and a great one, we have created this Data Plus Women community. And yeah, we are excited to host our already second virtual event, and in general, I think our fourth event in total. So we already had two events which were, so to say, in real life. And then given the circumstances, we kind of had to adapt our medium, and we're now excited to host the next virtual event. So to those of you who are new, welcome. And thank you for joining. We hope to see you in the future as well. We are a networking group for women. Anyone can join who is interested in data, who works with data, or who just likes to listen to talks about data and about careers within data, jobs, and whatsoever. Or if anyone just likes the company of smart and interested women, then you're also welcome to join. So if you would like to speak, or if you would like to give a presentation as well, please contact us, and we will have a slide later on, and we will give you all the contact details such that we maybe can see you on stage the next time. Yeah, so that's us. I guess we will start with the event itself. We have three amazing speakers for the, let's say, start. And at the end, we have an apéro and networking session as well. Yes, it's also possible to do it virtually. At the end, we will share a link, a Remo link, which is basically a virtual environment where you can just chat with other people. You need to grab a drink, a water, or a mocktail recipe, which we'll show at the end, which was prepared by Annabelle. And yeah, we would then just like you to enjoy the talks with our three amazing speakers, which is Elissa, Marion, and Fiona. As you can see, they will talk about their career, data visualization, and in general, analytics. I'm excited, and I hope you will have fun too. I guess I will give the ball now to Annabelle, who will present you our amazing speakers for today.
Yeah, thank you, Olivia. So yeah, my name is Annabelle. We have three awesome ladies today, and three international ladies. So the first one is Elissa Fink. I had the pleasure to seen her on stage several times, and she is amazing. So I'm sure that you will enjoy her presentation today. She's currently CMO advisor, and she was the CMO of Tableau for a long year, and she definitely helped building the Tableau brand and cultivate this Tableau enthusiasm and a fun community. So yeah, thank you very much for joining us today, Elissa, and she will speak about how to improve your analytic, but apparently it's not a talk about analytic. Please, Elissa, the stage is yours.
Great. Thank you so much, Annabelle. I appreciate it. And thank you for the invitation here. It's just such a pleasure to be able to speak with you guys and get to know this group and see it happening. I mean, it's incredible. So I'm here in sunny Seattle. It's 8 in the morning. I know you guys are mostly in Switzerland and Zurich or around. It's evening, but I really, it's great that technology can bring us together like this. So I will go ahead and share my screen. I think I need to have the ball passed to me. All right, cool. I got it. And now I will share some content. Let's see, I guess I will share this thing. Let's see. All right, we are going to play from start. I hope you're seeing this correctly. I think you are. I think you probably are. So again, I just want to say thank you for being here. As Annabelle mentioned, I'm the former CMO of Tableau. I was there for 11 years, from 2007 to 2018. It was quite a journey. It was really small, and then it grew. And what really kept me there was exactly this group, people. It was the people of the community, people who love data, people on analytics, and so I really do love being here. It's really great. I learned so much, and again, it's working around great people, not only at Tableau but around Tableau, especially the community. So what's great about being here in particular is you're mostly women, probably at various points in your careers, and my whole career I've loved data. So I thought I'd start with a little story about how I came to be in the data world. I actually, after I graduated from college as an English major, trained to do basically nothing, I started selling advertising for the Wall Street Journal. And it was a great product to sell because it had an incredible brand and it had great readership. So, I was pretty new to the world of selling. And so, you sold newspapers and advertising based on numbers. So I could rattle off demographics and numbers. And I just loved, talking about all the facts of the Wall Street Journal subscriber base. And I was, in fact, a very early user of Harvard Graphics, which predates PowerPoint, predates Google Slides, predates like everything by a lot. And it really it was an early presentation slide software that made some really ugly slides like this one. And I had a lot of ugly slides. And using these kinds of ugly slides, I would go to these great meetings. Some of them would be great, some of them would be pretty bad, and more often they would be pretty bad. In fact, I remember this one meeting I had with my boss. It started with about 10 people, and I started in with my Harvard Graphics slides like this, and just one by, just kept showing them, here's sales growth in every region, here's the next region, here's this, here's that. And one by one, people kept leaving until only one person was left. And this was before mobile phones could text you and tell you, oh, I've got an emergency. So there was no ostensible reason for people to get up and leave, except that I was terrible. In fact, it got so bad that my boss had to take over. So really terrible, right? Ouch, that was painful. Once I got over the shame of that, I did come to realize two important things. One is I loved data, not necessarily selling. I loved data. And I had a lot of work to do. I had a lot of work to do to learn how to share data and tell stories with data and convince people and persuade people with data. So I started working hard at understanding data, making better graphs and telling better data stories, not just throwing it at people. And my love of data eventually took me to Tableau, and in fact, making graphs like this one, which actually is one of my very first dashboards at Tableau. Not so great, right? But, better than Harvard Graphics. And it just goes to show, even today, I look at this and I'm like, oh, ouch. You can constantly be learning. So I made a huge jump from here to there, right? That's a huge jump. But even from this to today, it's a much different world of what we're able to do with data. So I just wanted to share a little bit of my journey, because the thing is I traveled this journey from shamed data idiot, basically, to proud data nerd. I realized some things, and I realized, data is everywhere. And you and I and all of us here, we do share a common belief, and that is that data is core to everything we do. And so I really believe this so much to my core that I'll be in meetings and I'll just be assuming everybody else has this belief. And as I've been advising companies and working with different kinds of boards, I'm realizing that's not so true. So what we share, this belief we share, it's important that we share this belief with others, because we know that data can shed incredible light on the vast majority of problems we face, even some of the problems we're facing today as a world of societies, with the COVID and so many Black Lives Matter here in the US and so many things. Data can be so informative. And so I wanted to share that we have an obligation to use data and to help other people use data. But it's not easy. We know this. It's not easy. You know how hard it can be sometimes to be that data evangelist, that data persuader, that data enthusiast. I mean, we all want it to be like this: data, high technology, doing cool stuff, taking us to the moon and beyond. But so often, telling a story with data or getting people on board feels like drawing cave paintings, right? Sometimes it feels like getting your story through is like as hard as trying, and as simple and as basic is trying to paint a wall, a cave wall, like our ancestors did. So I thought today that I'd share some ideas about data analytics and using data analytics that actually don't have that much to do with actual data analysis. So I thought I'd launch into a few ideas I wanted to share with you guys. First is, I really believe that using data improves your judgment. And the reason I call this out is because as an analyst, you as a data user, you know you're looking at data and you're trying to solve a problem or trying to shed some light. But you don't, I hope you realize how that using data, just continuously looking at a lot of scenarios, it actually gives you new perspectives on the world that you could never get. But by looking at data, you get these experiences. And the more experience you have, when you see, when this scenario happens, when this situation happens, this is what results, it teaches your brain to have good judgment. So I think it's really important to realize that as you're a data user, the more data you use, the more data you look at, the more questions you ask, not only are you getting smarter about the problem at hand, but you're getting smarter about the situation, about the world in general, about your company, about your business, about the problems you want to solve. So keep using data and realize that it's not just about the data for the problem at hand, but that it's actually making you smarter overall to tackle other problems. It's informing your judgment. And one of my favorite quotes that I always share too about using data and not being afraid to use it and not being afraid to even look at what you think is bad data is this quote from Charles Babbage, who was a mathematician in the 1800s. Errors using inadequate data are much less than those using no data at all. So when you get people who are like telling you, well, the data's not complete, or it's not quite right, or it's dirty, that's okay. Actually using inadequate data is going to inform your problem and inform your judgment much better than if you use no data at all. So I love this quote, and it reassures me that using data and continuing to push on data and continuing to use it, even just to inform my own judgment, even just to inform myself, maybe I'm not even presenting it or sharing it with anyone, is a good thing to do. So that's idea number one. Idea number two is, of course, always be learning. And I almost didn't put this in because I'm like, of course, all of these people are thinking, and here they are, they're learning, they're at this user group to learn. So, but I put it in here for a reason that I've discovered since I semi-retired, and that is, sometimes you forget that you don't know everything, and you forget, you think and all of a sudden 6 months goes by and you miss some major learning that you could have learned from. We were just chatting before the webinar, or before this meeting, about Andy Congreve and Andy Kirk, I think it was, had a session, almost like a face-off. And I thought, shoot, I saw it and I was like, I've got to sign up for that. And I forgot to sign up for that. So I had an opportunity to learn and I missed it. Now I'm going to probably be able to listen to the recording. So it's just one of these things that I only push this to you now because it's something that I think is really important to keep at the forefront of what you do every day. How are you learning? Ask yourself every day, what did I learn today? How can I learn? What's my learning opportunity, learning experience? Always be learning. And I think it's one of these things that you have to keep at the forefront of your mind. Because as I've discovered in this semi-retired state, even as I'm working with companies, sometimes I'm forgetting to learn. So this is mostly a reminder. So, but kudos to you for being here, because that is exactly what you're doing. There's so many resources, of course. I don't even have to go through how many different resources there are, but please, take advantage of the books and the blogs and all kinds of good stuff. Excuse me. Hold on, just honey, I'm on the phone. I'm sorry. Keys. Oh, okay. Yeah, hold on. Sorry, guys. It's morning here, and my son is headed to bicycle camp, and he needs his bike. So sorry about that.
Don't worry, Lisa.
Yeah, one of the great things about this new world order, a lot of online meetings, is just how real it gets, right? So anyway, all right. So idea number three is, so you're learning, you're out there learning, you're out there using data, you're informing your judgment, you're realizing how it's making you smarter. You have an obligation too, then, to turn that learning and that belief and that desire to inform your judgment to relentlessly evangelize new techniques and technologies, even when it hurts. And so what I mean by this is, you're talking to people, you're getting them to use data, you want them to use data, you want to promote new ways of using data, new analytical techniques, new technologies. Sometimes it's going to be things that don't quite work right, or don't quite work the way you think they work. or maybe it's a technology that threatens your current tech stack, and maybe you're adding something that might replace something else, or whatever it is. So, or it's you're not an expert in it, and they're bringing in a new technology that and a technique that you're like, wait a minute, that's a little threatening to me. Embrace it. Don't be afraid of it. Learn, because most of the things people are doing today are pretty fresh and pretty new. In fact, I used to say when we were hiring, hire for skills. Don't hire for skills. Hire for attitude and intelligence, because skills are something that change quite a bit. So just relentlessly be thinking about improvement, making things better, bringing in new technologies, and getting people to use data. Help them see the path. And I think your being here suggests you want to be ahead of the forefront. And this is, I think, it's an idea to definitely be thinking about evangelizing. One of the sources of there's so many different kinds of things in our industry and business analytics and business intelligence. Gartner's got the hype curve, for example, but there's just so many things to keep track of. Just be aware, be listening at all times, even in the back of your mind, to find things. And when you find a topic that sounds really interesting, just do a little exploration. Vendors are a really great source of information. There's so much information on the web. This user group is a great source of information. Just getting out there and staying ahead of the trends is a great thing. So experiment and have fun and explore, even if it hurts and even if mistakes happen. That's okay. Idea number 4 is, and I really love this one too, partially because from a personal point of view, it's just so interesting to me. There were so many times when your gut and the data are in conflict. To me, when that happens, it's an opportunity to learn. And so a lot of times when your gut says it'll look like this and the data say something opposite or different, very different, it's a little scary, because you're like, something's wrong. Either the data's dirty, or I'm wrong, or I was uninformed, or these are the wrong data. The data is not answering the question I really want. Why is this in conflict? Actually, uncovering the reasons for why your gut reaction, your judgment, and the data are in conflict or are different, there's really something to learn. And I used to love this as a marketer. We would run a lot of different kinds of tests or look at a lot of data about how our website was performing. And I, of course, would have, an old school marketer, for a lot of years, I'd have an opinion about where things would turn out. And a lot of times, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. But there were times when it made no sense. Oh, why? What? People are doing what? That makes no sense. And when I started to dig into the data and think about people's behavior on our website and why they were doing what they're doing, all of a sudden, a big light bulb would go off, and it would illuminate something in a different way, in a perspective that I would never have thought of. So don't embrace those scary moments when the data and your gut, or people's opinions and the data, are opposite. In a way, this is a great opportunity to find something really new to learn. And so again, don't be too fearful of that. Be really open to that. I always found these moments to be some of the interesting, informative moments and fun moments. And also, these moments often lead to your biggest breakthroughs. So again, don't be afraid when your gut or your judgment and the data are in conflict, because there's probably something really special to learn. And then last but not least, and especially in today's world, and today at this group, Data Plus Women, it's like, embrace your diversity and help others embrace theirs. It's really important. We women in particular have points of view that are different. We're often outnumbered in meetings. And so it's really important to be who you are and embrace it and share it and help others too. Even people who you don't think are that diverse may be very diverse in their thinking or their point of view. So helping others to embrace their diversity is a great thing, and be supportive of that, because it's the different points of view, I think, that really, when you combine it with data, objective fact, objective fact, that's a great thing. And so when you bring different points of view to these objective facts or to the data, you can just create all kinds of new ideas and new perspectives. So embrace it, because you're a human with creative ideas and different thoughts, and no computer or groupthink is going to bring what you can bring. So bring it and use it and help others use theirs too. Because embracing your diversity means being you, and when you're you, it's going to make your job better, your company better, your career better, and frankly, even the world. So that is what I wanted to share today. So thank you so much for having me speak today. I want to hand it back to Annabelle and Olivia, and we'll take questions, I think, at the very end.
No, we can take question now if you want.
Okay. Yeah.
If someone wants to ask a question live to Elissa, you can write your question on the Q&A. Otherwise, if there is no question, of course, we can wait a little more minute and answer at the end.
Yeah.
For the moment, yeah, I received like a lot of tweets and a lot of message on the chat saying that it was very inspiring. Listen to you. Yeah, it was. Also, it's also feel it. I suppose that Olivia too. Yeah, so if there is no question or the audience is a little shy, we can wait at the end. At the end, we will also have an apéro and maybe they will reach out to you directly. Who knows?
Sounds great. Sounds good. And I'm going to hand this off to Marion.
Yes,
that's right.
I will introduce Marion before. Yeah. So now we will have Marion. She's a senior analyst and data visualization expert at Suez. She's from Belgium. She's working in Belgium. She's also, like, if you don't know her, she's an incredible vision. She has a very, very good gallery on Tableau Public with a lot of viz. I advise you to go. She has definitely a passion around Tableau and design. And she will speak today about her journey into data visualization. And she's also, I forgot to mention, she's also leading the Tableau user group Belgium.
Yes.
And a fun fact, and that I cannot understand that about her, Belgium chocolate, too sweet chocolate. Please, Marianne, the mic is for you.
Thank you. And I should thank you for that great introduction. I'm just going to pull up my slides here. You know, you practice these things and then you do it and then something goes wrong. So,
of course.
Yeah, always, right? So let me share this and then I'll pull this up. So I think we're good there. Okay. I think we're good, right? Is that showing?
Yes,
okay.
Please.
Yeah, good. Thank you. So I have to confess, following that great talk by Elissa is a little bit daunting. So thank you for sharing those great insights with us. There's definitely a few things that I personally, and I believe everyone else that I can relate to. And again, thank you to Annabelle and Olivia for inviting me. It's really, really great to be here. And of course, it's a given that Belgian chocolate rules. There's no contest there. So if you ever make it out this way, if ever anyone makes it to Belgium, to our little country, I'll show you where you can get the good stuff. So as I was putting together these slides from my talk, I was struggling a little bit with finding the right title or kind of the introduction to the story that I wanted to tell. So I think I kind of went with safe, but I hope it will inspire you all the same to kind of start your own creative journey, find more fun in what you're doing, because if you're not going to have fun doing something, then why would you want to do it at all? So first, a little bit about me and how I came to use Tableau and where it has taken me since. My name, like Annabelle said, is Marion Arends. I am based in Belgium, born and raised, and I currently work for Suez Water Technologies and Solutions, where I support our regional commercial organization to make better decisions using data and the power of visual analytics. I'm not going to do the full rundown of my pedigree. If after this talk you're still interested to know more, you can check out my profile on LinkedIn. And if you scan the code, and I hope it works, it should take you to my Tableau public profile, where you can find the links to, my social media pages. And I'll be posting out these slides later in case anyone is interested. As I was listening to the talk before, I was kind of thinking a little bit. I have a confession to make. Until recently, I never really considered myself to be a data person, in the sense that I don't eat, sleep, and drink numbers. Because until recently, I can never really see or understand it. I always thought of myself as a visualist first and an analyst second, and that's what works for me. That's my process. And the reason why I put some of these pictures up here, it doesn't have anything to do with data or me being an analyst. but they're more of an example of how I tend to look at things. And that's typically from a slightly different angle. So when I travel, the pictures that I take, they're never of what you would expect, right? Landscapes and buildings, or hey, this is me in front of this building. I tend to take pictures of the things that kind of draw my attention, that catch my eye, and make me take a closer look. And for me, that's very similar, I believe, to the process of designing data products, or at least that's how it works for me. So the second picture from I think it's my left and your right, I always trips me up. The one with the curves is just a picture that I took, I believe, in London. I was walking past this beautiful concrete building, and the sun kind of hit it in a way that the shades made up this really beautiful shape, and I thought that was really stunning. And then I think the other one all the way to the left, that kind of looks like ghosts looking through a window. If you've ever been to Barcelona and visited Casa Batlló, it is, I hope I'm pronouncing this right. It's a really beautiful building, lots of stunning architectural detail on the inside and on the outside. And I was just walking around through the different rooms, and kind of saw these shapes through the glass, and I was wondering what's that? And then I realized it was people kind of looking into the room that I was at, and I thought that was just a beautiful visual. So, and it's still my favorite picture of that trip today. So how did I get into data visualization? I started using Tableau, I believe it's been at least 2 years now. Using Tableau became, a job requirement when I was supporting our global customer service organization. So I got a Tableau license. I went to my very first Tableau conference when they still had conferences, and that was in London in 2018. And for me, things kind of really took off from there. As I was looking for a way to learn and to practice and to try out new things, I discovered Makeover Monday. I became more involved in the community, and doing these weekly visits for me not only helped me kind of elevate my skills, and those are of course things that I took back to work as well, but in a way made me rediscover my creative side. So as I started experimenting more and kind of having fun with the tool, it really allowed me to express myself more creatively. I hope that that makes sense. And most of my recent visualizations, for most, will not have any significant analytical value, and I think that's okay. For me, they were more of a way to try and figure out things and having fun doing it, and I think there's some real value in that. So my very first, and I call it creative project, was actually about one of my favorite comic books growing up, and I believe that's something that me and Annabelle have in common. So I'll get to that in a bit. But I was quite literally inspired by a tweet, and a color abstraction tool. That's kind of how it came to be. The talk that I'm referring to was by Tableau Zen Master Neil Richards at London Talk. And I think this was about 2 years ago. I don't really remember the exact time. And that really made me think that, okay, I can have fun with Tableau too. It doesn't always have to be so serious. And then since then, some time went by, and then I picked up a tweet about colors in comic book covers, which were of course Belgian, and The Adventures of Tintin was my favorite one growing up. And as I was trying to come up with ideas on what I was going to do with this, like maybe I'd create some color swatches, I found this color extraction tool online, and that really would end up to be the inspiration for my initial design idea. And that kind of led to this, The Colors of Tintin. I ended up working through 2 different versions of it, and after a few feedback sessions, this is kind of where I landed. I really wanted to create something that looked like a comic book within a comic book, if that makes sense. You know how you walk into a comic book store and you see different comic books laid out on the shelf? That's really what I wanted to go for. And the feedback that I got on social media, that was really the fun part for me. I think my favorite response was someone saying, "My childhood thanks you." I mean, that's like the best, I think that's the best compliment someone can pay you. And others started using it as a guessing game, kind of to see if they could by looking at the color palettes if they could guess the name of the actual cover. And what was really special about this entire process at the end is that my visualization got featured on the Information is Beautiful Awards long list for 2019. So if you scan the code, it's going to take you to that page. And I really, really recommend you check out some of the other amazing work that's posted there, and maybe find some inspiration of your own. Just quick, wanted to show you some of the more recent, I don't know if you can call them vizzes, that I created. So this was not so much about practicing, but more for me. These are things that I enjoy looking at, and I had fun building them. I like Legos, I like colorful things, I like thoughts. These are all things that bring me joy. So the one on my left, I hope folks will recognize who that is Frida Kahlo, one of my favorite painters. And if you're not following Kevin Flurlich, sorry, I got the name wrong, he recently posted this really great tutorial for how you can create your own Lego artwork. And I really had a lot of fun just trying it out to see if I could make it work. So I'm currently trying to put together a series of images from painters that I like. So that's kind of work in progress. And then the one all the way to the right, that's called Colors That Define the Decades. That came from an article that looks at how colors have changed over time. And I had tried out different things, but none of them really stuck with me until I found these really beautiful bronze system posters. And that's kind of when it clicked for me. And I really wanted to honor the initial design as much as possible. So I spent probably more time than I should have on building out these different UI elements and how they would guide the user to explore. And some of these techniques that I learned as I was trying to figure this out, I actually took back to a recent work product that I completed a few weeks ago, which is not something that I can show you, but I just wanted to use it as an example that sometimes we're trying to build something or kind of figure out how you can make it work, even if what you end up with doesn't really have any analytical value, so to say, you can still learn a lot from that. And I just had fun doing this. Before I hand it over to Fiona, and I'm not really sure how much time you have or if I'm going too fast or too slow, but I wanted to give you some takeaways, and I'll be really grateful if you remember the following. The first one is obvious, that Belgian comic books make for great categorical color palettes. If you go check out my Tableau public profile, you can download, if you go to my Tint and Viz, you can download the color codes, the color swatches that I created, so the hex codes are up there. Second, it's totally allowed to have fun with data visualization. There's a lot of conversations that have been going on in the bigger community about should or shouldn't we experiment. And I think without experimenting, you can't innovate, right? If you don't try something new or different, you're never going to know what you don't know. Fourth, I would say don't fall back on the default. Always stay curious, always try out new things. You never know where it might take you. And then the fifth one, I think that really is something that I want to focus on more, is viz your passion. Find topics that you're passionate about and create something around that. I think you'll have a lot more fun doing it. And in the process, there's so many things that you pick up that you can take back to work or to whatever you're working on. And this is really the quote. This is really what I want you to take away from this. And this quote is by Johannes Itten, who was a Swiss expressionist painter and designer associated with the Bauhaus School, which most of you will probably know. I'm very much interested in the creative potential of play. And he was also one of the first people to define and identify strategies for color combinations, which is another topic that I'm very passionate about. So I really recommend you go online and look up some of his artwork. It's really quite beautiful. And that was it. That was my story. I don't know if there's any questions now, or if anyone has any questions later, you can always come find me. So thank you. And
Thank you very much, Marion. What is the cover with the red cover that we see here?
This, so this is another thing that so when I made my Tintin visualization, I went through different iterations of what I wanted it to look like. And these are actually just tree maps of the 24 covers, and the colors are sorted by the percentage they take up on the actual book cover. So they're just a different way of visualizing those books. And I thought it was really fun element to add to the presentation, because it's all the colors are from the covers. So that's kind of ties it all together.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah.
We will take the question at the end of all the session, because we're already disorganized this time.
Okay.
So now let me introduce Fiona. It's our third speaker. She joined Dyson like in 2018 as a viz analyst, and now she's already like a lead analyst for a Great Britain Iceland Business Insight Analytic. I hope that I got it correctly. So nice. She traveled like last year, on the last years, like in a lot of countries, especially also in Switzerland, to help to build the analytics market. And she's also very much involved on the Tableau Club and Dyson. She will speak today about how she found her place in analytics. And I want to say that when you found your place in analytics, you found it also in life in general, but that is my quote. And the fun fact about her is that she can land a plane. Let's see.
Thank you, thanks very much. I'll try and share my screen.
If you can land a plane, I'm sure that you can share your screen.
Oh, I don't know. Can you see? Yeah, good. Okay. So, yeah, a little bit. I'm just gonna okay. A little bit about me. So yeah, I've been in analytics for just over 3 years now. I am currently a lead analyst within a kind of market analytics team, and I lead a small team within that, the data team, which I'm really enjoying. I mainly use Tableau and SQL and R to kind of provide insight analytics and also sort of automate reports and things that have already existed. So just to give you sort of an insight into who I am as a person, we have this sort of, it's an insight piece at work that you can do if you want to, and it's kind of like the Myers-Briggs test, and it basically kind of gives you a color sort of based around your personality. And I came out as a sunshine yellow, which means that I should occasionally stop talking. I'm going to tell you about my likes and dislikes as well. So I really like bright colors, as you can tell. I like chatting to people. I really enjoy reading, particularly detective stories. I do like planes a lot. I've had a few flying lessons. I really enjoy traveling. I like painting, and I also super love maths. And dislikes, I found it really hard to think of any. I really hate closing tabs in Chrome. I'm a bit of a tab hoarder. And also I'm allergic to sorting my emails. So also I hate I'm going to talk about kind of finding my place in analytics, but first sort of like just finding out that analytics was the thing for me. So starting out, I did my degree in experimental physics, which I really enjoyed because I love maths. So it was kind of the perfect thing for me. The only thing that I struggled with a little bit in my degree was that when I'd done the mathsing, I then had to kind of present back the things that I'd learned and the things that I'd done in experiments, and I found that really difficult. So after my physics degree, I sort of didn't know what I wanted to do as a job. I applied for an analyst role. It was sort of advertised as an analyst role at an underwriting company, but it was very much kind of data entry. There were a lot of manual elements, and there wasn't any maths. So I sort of realized that wasn't the thing for me, but I wasn't sure what was. And then I joined a finance team as an administrator, and that was sort of better. There was a little bit of Excel. I was doing some VBA, which was fun, but it still wasn't quite right. There still wasn't sort of enough maths basically in it for me, enough analytics. And so I did a bit of research into the sort of jobs that I liked, and I talked to people who were doing the kind of jobs I would be interested in, and something that kept consistently coming up was SQL. So I did realize that I had to teach myself SQL in order to get the sort of job that I wanted. And so, yeah, I kind of downloaded some apps on my phone, and I would be like teaching myself SQL on the train. I bought a few books and things like that. And I sort of started to kind of understand it. But I did actually find it quite hard to find that first job in analytics, because a lot of them sort of wanted me to have analytics experience without, you know, having had a job in analytics. But I did finally find one that was going to take a chance on me. And I moved kind of away from the flat that I bought down south in order to take the job. I really enjoyed it. So this is the first analytics job that I had. The first lesson that I learned in the first analytics job that I had was not to put a million things on a pie chart, all in different colors. I think that's something that everyone has to learn when they're starting out in analytics. But yeah, I didn't know, but I know now. That was the most useful lesson probably. And then also, so I learned a few kind of exciting tools for me at the time. I learned RStudio, which I still use now. I use R. I learned a lot more SQL. And I also discovered Tableau, which obviously, I mean, I'm preaching to the converted, but it's such a wonderful tool. And I really enjoy kind of art and creativity. And it was like that combined with math. So just fantastic tool to learn. And I loved it. I also learned about the why. So I learned about kind of challenging stakeholders when they ask for a piece of analytics. It's really important to question them about it and to understand what they're actually trying to get out of that, and why they would be asking for that particular thing, and the underlying question that they are trying to answer that will help them do their job. I learned that it was important to kind of get to the bottom of that, and I really enjoyed that because that also involved a lot of chatting to people. So I was super on board with understanding the why. And then the puzzle. So I said before that I really enjoy like detective novels and things like that. And I mean, sometimes that's what analytics is. Like it's finding that story in some data and kind of really interrogating it in order to understand a pattern or discover something that's happened. And I enjoyed that so much. I found that really, really fun. So I knew kind of from that first analytics job that analytics was definitely the career choice for me. It was definitely what I wanted to do. It had enough talking and enough maths to be acceptable to me. And then I didn't want to talk about my career in analytics without also kind of touching on some things that I know are prevalent to women kind of in general in a business setting, not just in analytics. So the first thing is imposter syndrome. So in that job that I had, my very first analytics job that I'd been teaching myself SQL for, I went up to my manager's manager on the first day and I said, like, oh, you know, I've been teaching myself SQL, but I don't think I'm good enough at it. And I don't think that I could just like sit down right now and do the job really well. I don't think I'd be able to just immediately do it, kind of thing. And he was like, well, of course you can't. And he said something to me that's kind of really stayed with me throughout my career, which was that, you know, he said, I didn't hire you because you would immediately be able to do the job, because nobody can immediately do the job that they were hired for on the first day. I hired you because, you know, you seemed intelligent and you seemed like you had a lot of potential, and I know that you can learn and you can be really good at the job then. And you know, that's brilliant. And it's so nice to have that kind of positive reinforcement and to be valued, you know, for your brain. So that kind of really helped me. And also, so I kind of touched on it when I mentioned my physics degree, but I have struggled quite a lot with speaking in front of people, and kind of giving presentations. Like if it's not a chat, if it's not like a one-to-one kind of discussion, then I've really struggled in the past to do that and found it quite scary. And something that's really helped me with that was just kind of putting myself in those positions as much as possible. So in my first analytics job, there wasn't kind of a lot of opportunities for presentation. So I signed up to do a pantomime with all of my colleagues, and kind of made myself look really silly in front of them, but it really helped me. I was the handsome prince. And I found that kind of going forward in my career, that has helped a lot. And I do have to keep putting myself in those situations where I have to speak in front of people, because it kind of really helps me overcome that and helps me be confident about it. So now finding my place. So I joined my current company a couple of years ago, and I actually joined as a visualization analyst, which I was really excited about because I do really love Tableau a lot. But it was also a little bit daunting because there weren't any other, at the time, there weren't any other visualization analysts or anyone with visualization in the job title at the company. So kind of a little bit selfishly, in order to help myself, I set up this Tableau club. The kind of idea of which was that we would bring together all of the people within the company that are using Tableau and kind of discuss and share ideas. And it went really well. It turns out like quite a lot of people were looking for that connection. And so kind of racked up over 100 members now. And yeah, it's really good. So I've kind of given talks and done training and organized external speakers, and we've had competitions and things like that. It's gone really well. It's been, yeah, very fun. And then also, so from that role, I was then promoted to be a lead analyst within kind of group. So that meant that I did get to travel out to other markets and kind of help them with analytics and do deep dives, which was really enjoyable. And yeah, I went to Zurich, great place. And then also I got to learn new coding languages. So, I mean, I kind of improved my R knowledge. I've learned like a bit of JavaScript and some Python as well. So that's been, yeah, really fun. Still a lot of maths going on, so still very enjoyable. And also learn new data science techniques as well, which has been great. And then so every year we have this analytics summit within the company, which is always a huge event, and it's always really exciting. And for the past 2 years, I've hosted this kind of, it's a little bit like Iron Viz. It's like our version, which is like a live visualization event at the summit, and it's kind of the closer on the final day, and it's always a lot of fun. And also for that analytics summit, our most recent one, which was in Singapore, I was given the Analytics Talent of the Year awards, which was really lovely, and kind of, you know, laughed in the face of the imposter syndrome. So it was very good. Finally, where I am now. So at the moment, as I said, I'm leading a small data team within a wider analytics team within the UK market, which I am absolutely loving. I'm finding it so much fun. We are working in agile sprints, which is great for me. It is super helping me with my organization. For my direct reports, I get to plan out the work hourly and then have it kind of pre-planned for the next month, which I love. So it's going really well. I still get to talk to people all the time. So we're kind of responsible for a lot of the data manipulation and ingestion. And also I kind of design these reports for the exec, and I get to chat to them a lot and find out what they want, which I love. And I'm still enjoying the analytics life. There's a picture of me at the bottom. I'm presenting at a data visualization summit in London. Basically just kind of reiterating the thing that I learned in my first analytics job, that you shouldn't cram a million things into a pie chart. And then the other picture is me at my wedding. I managed to crowbar data visualization into my wedding speech. Yeah, so that's me actually. I don't know how to hand back.
Thank you for the presentation. Fiona, it was very, very insightful. And I really like that you spoke about the imposter syndrome, because it's something that we are like, I mean, everyone in their life, we have like a struggle with it. So it's nice that you spoke about it. Really liked it. And if you travel in Switzerland, what do you think about the chocolate? It's better than Belgium, the chocolate.
Well, I haven't been to Belgium, so I can't comment, but you're very good.
And no, you cannot comment because I will mute you.
Beer too. We have beer too. Don't forget about that.
Oh no. So we have some question in the chat. You can still write either on the chat or even in the Q&A, because now people are kind of confused. So for Elissa, so Elissa, you have some question from in the Q&A if you want to.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I tried to, I didn't quite use the Q&A quite right, so I answered some of them privately, but question I had was one of the few current CMOs with a long tenure, and then what did I learn? And did I ever want to give up in the early years? And you know, since this is all about a little bit about Tableau, yeah, there were times. I mean, I never really wanted to give up because I just so believed in data and the mission and the purpose. But there were hard days where you're kind of like, oh my gosh, can we climb this mountain? And I think what was just inspiring and kept me going was just great people. You know, I worked with great people inside of Tableau, especially the early days when you really, you know, nobody knows you, nobody knows what you're talking about. And some of you may remember, like, data wasn't really a thing, you know, like 10, 15 years ago, it was kind of like, you know, what, data, you know, go away. You know, I mean, you must be an IT person or a programmer. And it's like, no, I'm not even any of that, but I love data. So it was kind of interesting. So there were days when it was challenging, but because of the people inside of Tableau, and especially the community, the early community and the people that joined the community, it was inspiring. I felt like I was around people that were my people. And so when you're in an environment where you feel like you're part of something great, and you're around people that feel like your people, it makes it a lot easier to get through those hard days and realize one of my favorite quotes, this too shall pass. So I always think about this too shall pass in the hard times, because when we had the hard days, it'd be like, okay, well, we'll get through this. You know, what's the worst that could happen? You know, we'll get through this. And then other times when things are going great, you have to realize too and be very grateful and appreciative of like, wow, this is an incredible moment. We just had this success, or this customer just did this great thing, or we were acknowledged for something. Well, you know, this too shall pass. So appreciate what you're in. And I think those kinds of thoughts always had me kind of going forward. So yeah, that. And then in terms of there was another question about things that I learned, like how important learning was all through. Was it more the data related learning or the people related learning? And of course, the data related learning is super important. I mean, you just heard two incredible people. Like, if I could be half the analysts of both Marion and Fiona, I mean, I would be like over the moon. Incredible work there. So yeah, you always want to improve your data related skills, but you also want to work on your people related skills. You know, you want to be a better leader, you want to be a better manager, you want to be a better listener, you want to help, you know, manage projects better, manage teams better, persuade people better. Always wanted to be a better marketer. You know, what's good marketing, and, you know, how can I apply that? So I think it's those kind of skills in combined then with the foundation of data that makes you just do the right things, or do more of the right things. Believe me, I made a lot of mistakes and a lot of screw ups, but you try to do more of the right things than the wrong things is your sort of goal. So I think though that people related skills are pretty darn important. So that was a great question too.
Do we have any other questions?
I couldn't find any else. But we have a lot of comments that the people really appreciate the three presentation, Fiona, Marion, and Elissa. So you can like take over, Olivia, and explain the networking part. I will copy paste the link in the chat, so to be sure.
Perfect. So I guess you should be able to see my screen right now. We have now, as announced earlier, a networking session planned. So if you would like to join the networking part, just either scan and go to the link or just copy paste the link into your browser. And as already also announced, Annabelle was so kind to prepare some mocktail recipes.
I love it.
Would be very glad if you could join the networking part. We can have private discussions, and we would be very delighted to meet you and to have exciting discussions. So I hope, we both hope that you enjoyed it so far, and that we will see you next time as well. We thank Tableau for enabling everything and supporting us here. And yeah, please feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions, if you would like to speak, or if you would just like to chat. And we're always there, and we're looking forward to meeting you. So if you could just go to the link, then we're all set, and we'll see each other then later in the networking part now.
Cool. I will stop recording now.
Cool. Thank you guys. Thanks so much. That was great.